Enjoyed Sunday school lesson.
Yes,
Sister Ramona was talking, and I remembered a time one day I was Christmas shopping at Target. It's been years ago, and it was before they learned to play Christmas music over their intercoms. So I'm walking through the store, doing my little Christmas shopping, and I walked out of that store singing Achy Breaky Heart. And I got in my car, and I'm thinking, don't tell my heart. And Lord, what on earth am I thinking?
Yeah.
And that wasn't even what I thought about when I went in there. But the enemy tried his best. And we have to use the tools and the weapons that God gave us.
Yes.
He told us to quit ourselves like men. Equip yourself and stand up and fight like a man.
All right, that's good.
When my mama was a little girl, my grandpa told them, you don't pick a fight. But you don't run from a fight. The only time my mother ever found herself in trouble with the law was when a girl wouldn't leave her alone. And the only way to get out of it was to fight. She was about 15. Now my Aunt Opal, before the Lord saved her, she went to the bar just to pick a fight. But when the Lord saved her, she didn't fight no more. That was done. That was over with. God did a work in her life. And sometimes we have fights because of what we do. Because of what we do. And the only way to get out of it is to repent and start all over and say, God, help me not to end up here again, and fight our way out of it. And trust his grace to take you through it. But the enemy comes at us to see if we're going to stand like we say we're going to stand. And if you want to stand, you can. If you want to, you can. Nobody has to fall.
That's right.
If you fall because you don't want to stand. Because God has got the victory and the power and the equipment for us to stand. And that's why we put on the whole armor. I'm not sure if I can tie this together. I'm going to start in the book of 1 Kings, chapter 19. And I'm praying for Sister Terry to have a safe trip and home. First Kings chapter 19, starting with verse 1. And I'm not going to read the whole story. First Kings chapter 19 and verse 1. Daniel, you may have to turn me down a minute. It says, and Ahab told Jezebel all that Elijah had done, and withal how he had slain all the prophets with the sword. Then Jezebel sent a messenger unto Elijah, saying, so let the gods do to me, and more also, if I make not thy life as the life of one of them by tomorrow about this time. And when he saw that, he arose and went for his life, and came to Beersheba, which belonged to Judah, and left his servant there. But he himself went a day's journey into the wilderness, and came and sat down under a juniper tree. And he requested for himself that he might die, and said, "It is enough now, O Lord. Take away my life, for I am not better than my fathers." Poor Elijah. Might as well just sit here and die. They're all after me, Lord, and I ain't no better than nobody else. I might as well sit here and die. And as he lay and slept under a juniper tree, behold, then an angel touched him and said unto him, "Arise and eat." And he looked, and behold, there was a cake baking on the coals, and a cruse of water at his head. And he did eat and drink, and laid him down again. And the angel of the Lord came again the second time, and touched him and said, "Arise and eat, because the journey is too great for thee." And he arose and did eat and drink, and went in the strength of that meat 40 days and 40 nights unto Horeb, the mount of God. I don't know if the first time the angel touched him and he ate, he lay down again to sleep. I almost don't think in my mind that the angel served leftovers the second time. My children are not good on leftovers. So I have learned how to fix just almost enough to not have a lot of leftovers. They don't like leftovers. It gets put in the refrigerator and it gets left and it grows its own farm because they don't like leftovers. And I will fix something. Y'all take that for lunch tomorrow. No, they won't take it. Few times, very few times, I've had a leftover night. And I just start pulling stuff out. If it's not been there more than a couple of days, I'll just start pulling it out. And we'll have a leftover night. Because my kids don't like leftovers, so I don't really do a lot of leftovers. And I think when the angel came back the second time, he came back with fresh food. He rose and ate, and he lay down again to sleep, and the angel came back again and said, "The journey is too great." I have found on my journey, it's been great. Yours may have been easy. There's been times I've needed to rise and eat because the journey has been great. And he ate. And the angel told him, "It's a great journey." And after he ate, he got up, and the Bible said, I just read it to you, he went in the strength of that meat 40 days. That means that he journeyed to the Mount of God, a 40-day journey, and ate nothing along the way.
Amen.
I would be starving to death. Or at least think I was starving to death before that 40 days journey was over. But Elijah went in the strength of that meat 40 days. I didn't get this size by not liking to eat. I like to eat. I didn't get here on my own. I got here on my own. It didn't get there without me having it. I can't do it. I can barely make it 4 or 5 hours without wanting to eat again. But Elijah made it 40 days. There's something in my mind that tells me when the end of that 40 days was over and his visit with God was over, Elijah was ready to eat again.
Amen.
He was ready to eat. In the book of 2 Samuel, chapter 9, and verse 1. And David said, is there yet any that is left of the house of Saul, that I may shew him kindness for Jonathan's sake? And there was one of the house of Saul, a servant whose name was Ziba. And when they had called him unto David, the king, and he said unto him, and when they called him unto David, the king said unto him, art thou Ziba? And he said, thy servant is he. And the king said, is there not yet any of the house of Saul, that I may shew the kindness of God unto him? And Ziba said unto the king, Jonathan hath yet a son, which is lame on his feet. I'm going to go to verse 7. And David said unto him, fear not. He's talking to Mephibosheth. Mephibosheth has come in unto David, has bowed down, and he answered, behold, thy servant. And David said unto him, fear not, for I will surely shew thee kindness for Jonathan thy father's sake, and will restore thee all the land of Saul thy father, and thou shalt eat bread at my table continually. I'm going to go back to the book of Genesis. Then I think I may be through reading. Genesis chapter 8, verse 1. And God remembered Noah, and every living thing, and all the cattle that was with him in the ark. And God remembered Noah. David said, is there anybody left of the house of David, of the house of Saul? Is there anybody from that time that used to eat at the king's table? David remembered Saul. He remembered the kindness of Jonathan, his son. When I was thinking about this, I don't know about everybody here. I'm assuming that you want to go to heaven. I'm assuming that you want an experience with God. We didn't come this morning because we didn't have anything better to do. You didn't come this morning hoping to see me. You didn't come this morning just to hear Sister Ramona's teaching. I enjoyed it. We came because we want to go to heaven. We came because we ate dinner yesterday. And we prayed last night. But today is a different day. I need more to eat, Sister Rita. I need something from the Lord.
Bless the Lord.
You came because this is where you get your soul fed.
Yes.
You came because this is where we meet with God every Sunday morning, the first day of every week. This is where you meet with the Lord of heaven. You came this morning hoping that He would visit you somewhere in this service, somewhere from the beginning to the last prayer is prayed. You came hoping, looking for something to eat. We ate. Elijah ate and went 40 days in the strength of that meat that he had. And we can do that physically, but your soul cannot do that. Your soul needs chin up
All right.
Yes.
to keep your soul up. Alex has been having a few problems. And she said, Mama, can I just quit eating? No. Well, do I have to eat a lot? Yes. I don't have that trouble with JW. He eats a lot. But Alex hadn't been wanting to eat a whole lot. I've been worried about the scales for her. But some days I have to say, Alex, eat. Alex, eat. The doctor said you need more calcium. Drink lots of milk. Alex, did you drink your milk today? I have to remind her, did you eat today? You know, sometimes the Lord will remind you, did you eat today? Have you prayed today? Have you read today? And sometimes when I start reading, I forget there's a stopping place, and I just want to keep reading. I can't always do that. I don't always have time to sit and do that. But oh, don't you love when you open the Bible and you start reading the Word of God for His Spirit to just come right in, and those words just kind of sink in, and you think, oh, this is so good. There's some things I don't make because I can't fix them right. I don't know how to cook them. I'll tell you, I don't cook steak because I can't cook it. But oh, there's some things I like to cook because they turn out right every time. I don't mind cooking those. But oh, when I open the Word of God and I start reading, and the Lord remembers me. He remembered Noah. The Lord remembers me and hasn't forgot who I am and the promises He made to me. It's just like, oh God, let me eat some more. Is there more of it?
All right.
Yeah.
I have had things that I wanted to save, so I'd put them back and just barely eat on them. Or I just, don't eat that now, that's for tomorrow. Don't touch that now, it's for tomorrow. We got to wait on that. And then pretty soon, before I know it, they've been there so long that they've hatched children. And it didn't do me one bit of good to save that for a rainy day. But I'm telling you, you cannot afford in your heart to save it for a rainy day. You cannot afford in your heart to let a day go by that you don't come to the table of God and sit down at His table and say, Lord, I'm here again. I need another touch. I need another blessing. I need another meal. Lord, I've come again because God will feed whatever you ask Him for.
Yes.
Whatever you've been feeding on, that's what kind of soul you'll have.
Yes. No.
If you're feeding on the internet, you'll have an internet soul.
Mm-hmm.
And that's sad, but that's the way some churches are, some people in the church. If you're feeding and filling up,
Help her, Lord.
with romance books, that's what kind of soul you're going to have. There was a girl I know, and she spent most days when school was over with her head buried in a book. Wasn't very many days that the Bible got read like it needed to. Couldn't wait to get through praying because there's a book there.
Yeah.
That soul didn't prosper much. But there come a day when that girl said, I'm reading too much. I've got to put it down. And you know what? That soul prospered. She started growing spiritually. Lord's blessings came like she had never felt
All
before.
right.
Power like she had never felt before. Because she decided she wanted the man inside her fed. If you're eating on everything around you, but not the Word of God. I know there's some things that's hard to understand. I know there's some things that is difficult to push your way through. The begats, the begots, the names that I can't pronounce. But you know what? I got this little app that I push the button and it pronounces them for me.
Yeah.
I just read right along with it and it pronounces it for me. But with every one of those names mean something. They have a special meaning to them. Their parents didn't wake up one day and say, I wonder what kind of confusing name I can name this baby. The word Methuselah means a sword of the Lord. Jubal, that wanted his borders increased. That wasn't his name. That was Jabez.
Yeah.
He wanted his borders increased. Jubal means song. Every one of those names meant something. They're hard to pronounce. I use my little app. I can get through it. There's no excuse for me. Because I've got tools at my hand that I can use to get through it. Lord, it's me. I've got another need today. Oh, yeah? If you go more than a day without prayer, you're going to be weak. You will be weak. Tomorrow you may have a need. I wouldn't go a day without talking to my children. If I went very long without talking to my children, my daughter would say, Mama, are you mad at me? If she went very long without talking to me, I'd say, Alex, what's wrong with you? Do you know that as a child of God, He wants to hear from you?
Yeah.
I have time for my children. JW, come and say, Aunt Lee, can we talk about something? Yeah, what do you need, son? What is it today? And he may not understand all about whatever he's talking about, but the fact is that he needs somebody to talk to, and that's me. And he'll say, can I talk to you? There's been times I've got on my knees and said, Lord, can I tell you something? I'm here because I'm angry. I'm here because I'm hurt. I'm here just because I want to tell you that I love you, God. There's days when I don't want to ask for anything. I just want him to know how much I love him. And he wants to hear from you. A parent that loves their children doesn't turn them away. And a God that loves you will not turn you away, but will hear your cry. And you can eat at his table and have your heart and your soul fed.
Amen.
Because there's plenty at his table. More than enough. Oh, taste and see that the Lord is good. And he said, come unto me, all ye that labor. And he said, if you'll come, I will open my door and come in and sup with you and you with me. He wants to feed. He's got plenty. And it may have been yesterday, but there's enough for today too. And it's not leftover.
Amen.
It's not something he cooked up yesterday, but he's got brand new today.
Yes.
Noah had been in that ark a long time. God said, if you go in, I'll let you. There'll be a day you'll come out. God remembered Noah. I don't know all the promises that God has given you. But I will tell you that God has not forgotten. He will remember. And He will provide. And He will do what He said He would do. All you have to do, David made Mephibosheth a promise. As long as you stay in the city, as long as you do what you should do, and tell him what he wanted to do, you can eat at my table.
All right.
There came a day when Mephibosheth broke his promise to David. When he did, he didn't eat at the king's table anymore. When Mephibosheth broke his promise. It was after David had died, when Solomon was reigning. But there came a day when Mephibosheth broke his promise. But as long as he kept his word, there was food at the king's table. As long as you keep your heart right, there is food at the king's table. I've done my best. Sister Terry ought to be home tonight.
Hallelujah, Jesus.
But let's see what God has done for us
Yes.
at His table today.
Thank you, Jesus.